I'm Brian Johnson. Welcome to Distilled. I'm here with Pat Carlson. Hello, Pat.
Hi, Brian. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you. It's party time because you are party time, Pat.
That's what Shaquille O'Neal named me, and it has stuck. It has stuck. I can't get rid of it even if I wanted to.
Well, it's so apropos
I love it.
because Pat, you it's funny, unless you know you come off as just this sweet, now Pat's a cook, I should say, just this sweet, nice lady who goes about her business, but that's not really the case, is it, Pat?
No, I have a dark side. Yeah. I do like to have a good time. I've always liked to have a good time because you only live once.
Well, and yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. And you're in the kitchen, you're making these amazing, oh my gosh, amazing meals and desserts and so much more. And I think that if anybody knows anything about food, it's the amount of love and I guess personality, really. What do you think about that? What's your take on what you put into the food and how it tastes?
Well, I always say that people shouldn't worry about what they're cooking, if it turns out good, if it turns out bad. What's important is the butts in the chair. Who are you sharing that meal with? Because if they're friends and people you want to have a good time with, it doesn't matter what you made. You could have ordered pizza, you could have made a gourmet dinner. But in the end, what you remember is the camaraderie and the people you shared that meal with.
I'm going to write that down, the butts in the chair.
Butts in the chairs are the most important thing about any meal. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Okay, so now, right off the bat, we got to find out, what got you into cooking? What's the story?
I've been cooking since I was young, and I'll just be upfront about this. My mother was a terrible cook. So starting in 6th grade, and my mother worked. I come from a long line of working women. My grandmother was a teacher, my mother was a nurse, and then a hospital administrator. My grandmothers and mothers they weren't home. My grandmother was a great cook. But my mom didn't enjoy cooking either. So starting in 6th grade, I made all the family meals every day starting in 6th grade because my mom didn't get home from work till 5 o'clock. So there was a lot of bad meals and a lot of good meals, you know.
How many siblings?
Well, there was 6 of us in my family. So my mom and dad and then the 4 kids.
Okay.
So I was cooking for 6 people every night.
In 6th grade?
Yeah, starting in 6th grade.
Most people hadn't even taken home ec
13.
yet.
I know. I know, by the time I got to home ec, I'm like, I already know all that stuff.
You're like, I'll teach the class.
But, you know, meals were pretty simple. Meat, protein, protein, starch, vegetable. That's what we grew up in. You know, I came of age in the 70s. By the way, the best decade ever, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm just saying, you know, to come of age in the 70s with the music and the spirit of life was great. So you didn't worry too much about things. So yes, I started cooking. And then when I got out of high school, there were no culinary schools like there are now. They didn't exist. Well, there was one in New York, the CIA. But my mother, I grew up in northern Minnesota, small town. They were not going to let me go to New York City, and I would have been so unprepared to go to New York City. So I went to college in Minneapolis. I got a traditional degree. Back in the day, you could be a nurse, a teacher, or get a business degree. You kids today have so many opportunities, Brian. It just amazes me what the opportunities are. So I started my career in data processing. And
you in data processing?
I was a great, yes, I managed systems engineers, and I was a project manager for a data processing company.
Well, I have no doubt you would be a success in anything that you do.
And so I did that for years, but I was always cooking and baking and, you know, making everybody their individual Valentine's cake with their names on them and Christmas cookies and all of that. And then I got married and I moved all over the country, did dinner parties, did all of that. And then by the time I had 3 kids, I didn't do any of that. And we eventually moved back to Minneapolis. And my kids were in 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade at the time. And I just decided I was going to culinary school. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody. I went down and signed up that day. I just went down and signed up and enrolled.
You just followed your intuition.
It's what I've always wanted to do. And even when I was in college, you know how they had that 414 calendar and you could do a January term? Mm-hmm. Kids today go on trips and whatever. I wanted to go to the Wilton Cake Decorating School. I'm not kidding, it was in Chicago. But the nuns where I went to Catholic University didn't think that was an educational endeavor. So I could not go to the cake decorating school I wanted to in college.
Really?
Even though the boys' college had a bicycle class for January term that was considered educational. But yeah, so I've always wanted to do food. I love food. And anytime there's a cocktail on the menu with spice in it, that's what I order. I like to spice it up a little bit.
I like this. I like that mix of sweet and spicy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? Do you ever do that in your food? What do you? Is it unless it's asked for? Or do you? How does that work into your food? Just
I always throw like red chili flakes in or some chili peppers or something just to spice it up because in Minnesota we tend to have a lot of bland food. And it's like, okay, come on, people. Okay, I just as much as everybody else love a good green bean casserole, but I will make it with Szechuan Chinese green beans and, slivered almonds and just change it up a little bit.
mix it
But I
up.
like my comfort food too. Don't think I don't go home and throw taquitos in my air fryer at the end of a day and just enjoy. So, I'm not a gourmet eater. If somebody invites me over, people say, well, I don't want to invite you over because I don't know what to make. I'm like, you can make me blue box mac and cheese, and as long as somebody else does all the work, I am there. I'm not proud. I'll eat anything.
Well, it's funny you mentioned air fryers because early on when I got to work with you, I was so happy to get to finally work with you, and we were selling air fryers. And I was like, so, off air, I was like, so Pat, really tell me about, and you're like, did your wife have one? And I was like, no. And you're like, get her one. And they came back the next time. I was like, she doesn't want one. We don't have the space. And you're like, get her one. And then I come back and I'd be like, well, she said that. You're like, get her one. And finally I was like, all right, I just got her one. And now every day she's like, tell Pat thank you.
I know.
She's like, but actually, I'll be honest with you. I took the credit.
You should take the credit. Don't give the credit to me because you can ask my kids when they do come home. My kids all live away. They wait. They have a bet. How long will it take before mom says the word air fryer out of her mouth? Because I believe every home in America should own an air fryer.
It is crazy.
It's crazy.
We're not selling any air fryers today.
them.
We're just talking about
No,
it.
because it's what the microwave was in the 60s, 70s. Air frying is changing how America cooks, and it's for the good. It's healthier, it's better, it's faster. Feel like I'm doing an infomercial, but I believe in it so much. And I'm going to be launching the Shack air fryer this Friday.
Oh, well, there you have it. Well, we'll give a little nod to the Shack air fryer coming up. Yeah. What is your favorite dessert to make?
Oh, to make? Well, to eat is dark chocolate. I eat dark chocolate every day of my life. Every single day of my life, I eat at least an ounce of dark chocolate.
How do you take it? Like, what's
I
your
just
percentage?
break the bar off.
Do you just go straight dark chocolate?
Straight dark, yeah. It's got to be at least 67.
67,
Yeah,
okay.
67. But to make, I make this fabulous almond-crusted lemon tart with fresh berries. And that's my favorite dessert to make.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I make the crust from scratch. I made it for Paula Dean. She just about swooned. She's like, I need this. It was fabulous.
What's your go-to favorite, main entree to make?
I love tacos. I mean, sure. Can I make a mean filet? Yes. And every Christmas I make this beautiful stuffed filet, for my kids and everybody for Christmas. But honestly, my favorite food is tacos. Yeah. And if I want to go higher end, I can go scallops. Pan-seared scallops are one of my favorite things. But tacos are my jam.
Is there anything that you feel like you couldn't make? Is it that like would challenge you so much? You're like, oh,
I don't make sushi.
No, not sushi.
No.
That's kind of like completely different.
It's a whole different thing. And a lot of the fish things I don't deal with very well at all because I'm not a big fish eater. I eat shellfish, but I don't eat a lot of fish. So can I cook fish? Yes, but it's not something I'm super comfortable with.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about some rapid fire questions?
Okay, let's bring it on.
What's your favorite color?
Black and white and red. And there's a reason for that. Because when I was a kid, I watched Audrey Hepburn, and she always had on black pants and a white shirt. And I thought she looked so classic and so elegant. I can't pull that off, but I've always loved black and white, and then red is my accent.
I think you pull it off quite well.
Thanks.
What's your favorite movie? I'm guessing Audrey Hepburn might be in.
No, actually, like if there's a movie you can watch over and over and over again, I will give you two. Titanic. If it's on, I'm sucked down for 3 hours. I'm not moving. There I am. And the other one, this is going to sound silly, but The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan and Natasha Richardson. And I love that movie. It just makes me happy. I don't know.
I don't think there's any, I think it's so funny. People ask sometimes I guess they're called, what is it called when you like a really cheesy song? It's a guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure.
But it's like, it shouldn't have to be a guilty pleasure. It's like
No.
whatever makes you feel good, whatever you enjoy.
No, I love movies. I'm not a horror movie person, a shoot 'em up action person. I'm not that, but yeah. Give me a good old romantic or fun movie and I'm there.
Happy-go-lucky gal. You know, now something, Pat, that I'm going to share with you,
Oh
if you don't
no,
mind,
this scares me.
that I appreciate about you is off camera, Pat curses like a sailor.
It is true. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and swearing was part of just growing up. My parents would be playing cribbage at night. Oh my God, they swore. Like my son in 6th grade wrote. They said, "Well, what did you do this summer?" Right? Well, my son spent a couple of weeks up with my parents. He goes, "I learned to swear this summer. My grandparents swear all the time, but they love each other. They just swear at each other." And then I worked in kitchens. Well, people swear in kitchens all the time. But then, like about 10 years ago, Brian, I made a New Year's resolution not to swear because I was swearing a lot. And then about 2 years ago, it started to slip back into my old habits.
Well, I think, you know, it's a means of expression.
It is. And I also read an article that said smart people swear. It's like the right word for the right moment. That people with high IQs swear more than people with low IQs. Did you know that?
I saw that. That was this morning.
And that made me feel so much better.
I can't say that I had guilt about it, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
Now, outside of a swear word, what's a word that you like to use or that you just appreciate?
I always use the word swell.
Swell.
People say, "How are you doing today, Pat?" I go, "I'm just swell." You know, it reminds me of the old comic days or whatever. I don't know. I just love the word swell.
That's
How's
a
it
great
going?
word.
Because, you know, it can be sarcastic. Things are really swell. Oh, just swell. Or I can really be swell. So that's my word of the day.
It covers a lot of ground.
Covers a lot of ground
I
without
appreciate
swearing.
that.
Without swearing.
Without swear, yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah.
to the point. Wow, I tell you what, Pat, we could go on.
We could go on and on, Brian. You and I could be here all night having fun.
I tell you what, I want to thank Pat so much for joining us on this episode of Distilled. I'm Brian Johnson. Pat, thanks for coming.
Hey, cheers and thank you. It was a pleasure.